Hey everybody, welcome back to DataDash. My name is Paul Sampson. Today is Thursday, August the 7th of 2025, and I'm coming to you live from Switzerland. Beautiful, beautiful Switzerland here. Believe it or not, this image behind me, while it is on a green screen image assistant for the recording, I actually took this photo in person yesterday. What a beautiful country here. Still coming to you with the updates as usual. So I'm not in my home studio, so forgive me if the audio may not be perfect. The visuals sometimes maybe a little laggy. Wi-Fi in the area I'm at is not the best, but we're going to continue on from here either way. So, folks, the market really has been feeling like it's just kind of gone really sideways again, really slow at this point. This has probably been one of the most consolidating markets that we've seen in a while, right? We do have some really exciting bursts that come, but then unfortunately they're met with very, very boring sideways conditions for quite some time that generally bore people out of the market or get the market to a point where nobody jumps in or adds in at the correct times, right? Or they miss out on the next large pump because they just thought it would continue trending sideways a little bit longer, and then of course it changes. And for me, these are the times where I like to really, really prepare for the potential next moves. And I think that those are going to be lining up with the altcoins as well as Bitcoin going to, 130, 140,000 that we've highlighted quite a bit, which at this point is not a huge move as far as percentage wise goes. So if anyone is interested in altcoins, I think that this is where, our sites should be set on. So we're going to cover a good slew of things in today's video. So I hope you all like and subscribe if you haven't already, because we're jumping right on into it right now. Before we begin, folks, I did want to highlight our channel exchange partner, which is Blofin. So we've officially partnered with Blofin, which is one of the fastest growing crypto exchanges in the world. There's no KYC, deep liquidity, and fast execution. And what I love the most is that they have a huge selection of trading pairs, both on futures as well as spot. Blofin is where I've personally been trading the last few years, basically since 2023, when a wave of KYC kind of swept across all these exchanges. So I like it. I've used it for multiple years. Personally, I've had no issues with it, no downtime, no transaction issues. One of the few exchanges that personally I can really say I get behind, that I've used it. I trust it to as much as we can trust an exchange that's out of our control. And I've had no issues so far. So if you're interested in joining Blofin, be sure to click the link down below in our description. There is a deposit bonus for up to $1,000, I believe, and there is a little stipulation with it. So be sure to read the details down below, but check that out down in our description below if you're interested in joining Blofin. All right, folks, this is one of two charts that, in my opinion, really outlines a major move in the altcoins, right? Whether it's an altcoin rally of short term, midterm, whatever, whether it's an altcoin season that blows our socks off for several months, maybe a year. Either way, in this window of time, I still anticipate the altcoins to see moves to the upside from where we are currently, right? So this is something I've highlighted for quite some time. I know that others are coming around to it now, and that's fine. But one of the easiest and cleanest cup and handle setups, which is one of the most classic patterns in technical analysis. Now, I will say that normally at this stage, I wouldn't only look to this as something that would be a dead given, like this has got to happen type of thing. And normally when everybody does start to realize these things, they don't play out as much. But it is there, and I've kind of stair-stepped it into some other analysis as well. So I was really interested when we got down to this gold pocket, which is just from this rally right here. We came right down, formed a perfect handle of this cup and handle setup, which is a bullish pattern that essentially has a measured move of up into this region, about a $3 trillion move, or I'm sorry, $1.5 trillion move up to the $3 trillion target zone. And what I was looking for realistically was that major yearly level, this 1.33 trillion, to get flipped into support essentially, right? So when we got the bounce from here, we were consolidating this region, the next major sign of strength was going to be that. All right. And when we got the pullback just recently, so while the market does seem a little boring, a little stale, realistically, nothing's broken here. I still anticipate this to see some more upside from here as long as we're holding above that 1.33 trillion for now. The second chart that indicates to me that we are going to see continued upside here for Ethereum, which is going to also lead into the altcoins as well, is the ETH versus BTC pair. I've highlighted this for quite some time as well. This is on a weekly time frame, mind you, but this is a 6-year bullish reversal pattern that we have put in right here. This is a harmonic setup, which is a sequence of Fibonacci's, which has a set list of ratios, set list of targets, set rules, all things that go into it. And I was even looking for a specific fib time for a completion zone of March 2025. Okay. And so far, we look like we've bottomed 1 month later. And again, was targeting that March 2025 bottom back when 2023. All right. So years ago. And whether or not, here nor there on that necessarily, but it just helped me to really stack up on Ethereum and a couple other altcoins when we've seen those big drops basically up in, from any of these times all the way down. Any big red day, I've just been picking up like crazy, with Ethereum being my major holding. Now you'll see a couple levels here outlined. Basically, this was a major area when we traded up into this region. I wanted to see us get through that for some continuation. Now, mind you, we could very well come back and back test that, which would mean a little bit of a pullback still. But overall, this is very well a much. I mean, it's a full blown reversal in my opinion. Right? It's already underway. We've already seen an over 100% move in Ethereum. We've seen some sizable moves in some altcoins. I know it doesn't feel that way because they've retracted a little bit from their highs as of recent. And there's other opportunities that have not moved at all, right? And that's kind of the things we're going to look into a little bit as well as we come into these next coming weeks. Ultimately, this has two major targets up here, which is the 382 and the gold pocket, which you'd think is pretty simple. Simple retracements that we would look to. A B point of this harmonic pattern is another really big area to look to, which is pretty much lined up with our 382. We have an untapped yearly pivot stacked in this region. So these remain the areas I'm looking to for the ETH BTC pair to run it up to. It doesn't have to happen overnight. Doesn't necessarily have to stop here either. But those are some major targets there. Now, we'll note that also this was, again, a 6-year, I might have said 7 earlier, but 2019 to 2025, so 6 years pattern that took to, basically get in place. It may take a year and a half before we actually meet up to, this major target up here. So we'll be updating along the way. Of course, I'm not married to that time frame overly, but just wanted to point out that there could be, just because we're making this video today and insinuating that there's a ton of upside or more upside at least. I think that we have time. Like, that's the biggest thing I always like to push. Don't rush into anything. Always wait for a red day. All those good things, right? This is those times when the market's slow and we like to basically start strategizing for those next moves. All right, Ethereum, we began the month of August and we were trading around this region up here, almost $4,000. And one thing that I look to each and every month is our new monthly pivots, which is the average of price from the previous month. There's context around everything, of course. It's not just a given that we're just going to snap right back to that, whether it's from the high or the low. A lot of times that is the setup after really impulsive moves, whether it's to the upside or the downside. So this one was pretty easy to identify. So we ended up coming down towards that average, which was the target for August. Basically, it's last month's average, this month's target, which was a sizable drawdown. This was like 15%, give or take. Yeah, about 15%. And once again, a 15 to 20% drop on Ethereum to me is a red day, right? That's when I'm looking to, if I wanted to buy in up here, I definitely wouldn't want to buy in here, right? I wait for those type of pullbacks, especially on like the higher time or the larger caps. 15, 20% is definitely something I look to. Now, is that the most ideal area to get into? Probably not, obviously. I mean, there's still, room below. There's some key levels down here and everything. But for the moment and the way that the price action is, yes, that would have been the region. We technically front ran it just a little bit by dollars, but again, I'm not looking to get the exact dollars on these. I'm just identifying key regions. Okay. And every exchange is going to be different anyways. I'm on the Bybit chart here. So maybe it did come down to that on Coinbase, but either way, you're talking dollars at that point. So now, barring a sweep of this low, which is something to definitely be aware of, which is it's another 5-10% below us, I'd say that we are on decent track here. Okay, like this is definitely a box that if we did lose it, I'd definitely have to start looking back down a little lower. And I do have one region down below you see highlighted there, but we won't really get pretty much what we want to. Potentially we're going to get this move up. Obviously we got some ground to cover here. We got a few or at least a week target for us just above us, about 37. We got a monthly target here about 30, same area. So flipping that region is what I'd like to see next. And then of course at that point we're targeting all-time highs and then potentially then some. Now, Cardano, while this is a little muddier than most of my charts, I'm going to zoom it in here a bit, so don't overly get carried away with some of these. I did just want to highlight that this box area was the basically a buy zone, right? This is where I was looking to get interested at. Posted these setups in the Traders Club Discord, where I put all my updates each and every day for high time frame, low time frame, all the goodies, right? If you like any of these charts that you see here in front of you, you can always head over to DataDashPro.com. And once again, this is where I put all the updates that I touch on here for the videos, plus honestly a lot more. We touch on a lot of stocks as well. And then there's a couple of options here on DataDashPro. If you'd like to do Nick's newsletter, you can choose that. If you'd like to just choose the Traders Club Discord, which is where I post all of my updates and everything, and here insights, educational academy, everything that I pretty much have to offer. And then if you'd like to bundle the two of them and get the ultimate DataDash experience, you can choose the Pro bundle right here in the middle. Again, that's at DataDashPro.com if you're interested. But yes, this box area was our buy zone. We really only kind of tapped the high end of it so far, at least. Hopefully we don't come all the way back down to 24 cents. But since then have been putting in a pretty nice little series of low, high, higher, low, higher, high, potentially a higher low at this region here. So the next few things I'd look to is some of these big areas above us, right? So what can Cardano get up to reasonably here in the midterm, right? I'm not looking for maybe over the top bull market targets at the moment. Definitely have some in mind. Realistically, I mean, the two major targets that are probably, I'd say, a little bit more distant at the moment would be these two right here, 336 and 530. All right. I wouldn't expect those anytime soon. And like I said, we got some ground to get through, but those would be some higher time frame outlooks that I could see us getting up to in a really hot market here. But until then, looking for these regions up above us. Okay, so we've got a monthly NPOC, which is at 118. All right, you got a potential little bullish consolidation right here. Many could view it as a bull flag, whatever you have. Regardless, you do have a nice push up. We, like I just highlighted before, we have higher highs, higher lows, the sideways consolidation. So when looking for that, if we were to start breaking higher, the few areas of interest to me that I'd look to for some resistance is going to be this 118, the macro 382 right here that we just barely front ran earlier on this year. At the end of last year. And then we have a little weekly there, which is nothing crazy. I just kind of would stack it with this region here. And then the gold pocket. This is actually my midterm target for Cardano. I'd say probably, if things really heat up here, we start to see a little breakthrough. This would be my midterm, next coming months, end of this year type of thing, potential, right? And you're talking 200% almost. And by no means would it have to stop there, folks. If we were to see a pretty decent impulse like that on Cardano, I would just state that that's a really macro area that if most likely if we were to see that, that's an area where we're going to probably cool down a bit, right? Even if it was to continue higher towards that $3.30 and $5 area that we're talking about. Again, those are some longer time frame targets that I could see if going back to the beginning of this video when we covered the ETH BTC pair, how those targets on ETH against Bitcoin could take in a year and a half. So that's putting us at almost the end of next year, 2026, right? Things like that. If we were to see movement out of Ethereum in that time frame, I could see Cardano pushing up to those higher levels. But something that in the more midterm, 6 months, I think that pushing up to that region I just highlighted is very possible. Again, it's up in this $2, $2.11, $2.15 region. Now, Chainlink is one we touched on a couple weeks ago as well. I mean, I try to keep up with these pretty often, and just range bound still. Okay, I know that that's not what everybody wants to hear, but we did trade up into the high side yet again, got a little rejection. And similar to Cardano, though, if we start looking at this more locally, right, we've come down, we've put in a low, we've put in a high, which was a bit higher than these previous highs here. We got a higher low, and we got a higher high now. So in theory, we've got a small term uptrend, unfolding here. Potential to pull back down towards the point of control yet again, which I believe is a gold pocket. So I'm just taking a Fibonacci retracement basically from that low to that high, and you can see that the gold pocket sits right here. So it's a region that's very likely for price action to retrace to after a major impulse. So coming back down to this like $14 area, wouldn't be anything of concern. Truthfully, we come down to the bottom of the range again because ultimately we're just ranging around. But in this shorter uptrend idea, I'd love to see the $14 area hold, and then we'll look for that next bounce to the upside. So yeah, catching a bounce off that region would be something I'd be really okay with here. Still the uptrend locally would be intact. Nothing really starts to unfold here for more upside until we flip this $21 area. But when that does occur, I'm looking for 38 and then back to our all-time high, which is our 1618 right back here at 54. Now, of course, there can be more targets that unfold after this. But for now, I'm just looking for that type of movement because those two areas right here are going to make more than likely have us hit the brakes for a minute. Avalanche is another that I've had my eye on here for quite some time. And very similar to Chainlink, we are seeing a very sizable range unfold. Just another run up to the range and then a back test again to our point of control. So almost the same exact move I'm expecting out of Chainlink at the moment. Just pull back to that point of control, see how things look, right? Once again, context is key. I would love to just be able to say, guarantee we're going to have this move, this move, this move. But I'm, willing to update and adjust as more information comes our way. But ultimately, while we're trading in this range, I am willing to put on some risk. Obviously, the most ideal time is around these lows. But if I'm looking for some of these higher targets to come, which I do anticipate over time, to me, it's just depending on if I'm patient enough or have the ability to look for the range low yet again, if I'm willing to now put a little on in the middle here, which is usually not ideal. But I have to acknowledge that if I see this hold and we bounce from there, then it's like, okay, do I add up here after that? So I'm looking to add a position. At this point, to me, I'd probably be willing to put a little risk on here, hope for the low here to add my position even further. Otherwise, that's how I'd play this. Otherwise, I'd be already in from some of these lows we've been at for multiple times already around the range lows, 2024 low as well. But the current line in the sand for any more upside is flipping $26. Really, like you see, once again, we've rejected. So to come up and start closing daily candles above this would be the good thing to see. And then we'd look for that run up towards this untapped level right here. We have our macro 382. We have a monthly NPOC at $75, $76 area. And then there's just a lineup, right? So wouldn't overlook these regions here. That would still be a pretty decent little run, about 150%, 180%, 250%. That's no joke, right? From where we are right now. So those are the areas I'd look to, not overlooking some of the regions that could go even past that. But for right now, these would be the three I'd really have my eyes on, this 54 to 76. And then, of course, we got the gold pocket up here at 98 still. But all that really begins when we flip that $26 mark. Then there's Dogecoin. All right, so the king of the memes, essentially. Haven't had too much excitement out of Dogecoin as far as the market would go. Obviously, it's been relatively sideways here. The buy box, right, that I've been highlighting once again in the Traders Club for quite some time when we were making this fall all the way back down to it. Again, if you'd like to join that and get access to all my daily updates, market insights, my educational academy, direct access to me as well, you can do so over at DataDashPro.com, our website link down in the description. You can choose just my Discord area, the DataDash Traders Club, where it's just me exclusively. You could also join Nick's newsletter here, the Dash Report, or you can join both of them together at a discounted rate and experience the full DataDash experience. Again, this is where I put in these higher time frame targets way ahead of time. We came into them, obviously, have moved since, moved off of them since then. We got a nice move here into, again, this big monthly level. This is the line in the sand for any more continued upside. So we got a big push up, resistance hit us. We pulled back down to our local gold pocket. That's just from this low up to this high. So we got a 61 to 65% retrace. Very, very common to see in any impulse move. This is a high time frame weekly chart, so that's why it looks kind of small. But this was a sizable move, right? So this was a 30% correction right into that gold pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that just so it looks a little clearer here. And ultimately would love to see this come up again, flipping this region here, right? That's our key level at the moment, 28 cents. You flip 28 cents, and more than likely, we're going to take a stab at this move to the upside. And then we can start looking back up towards that 40, 41 cent, 56 cents. I actually think Dogecoin has the ability to hit $1.20, assuming we have a continued bull market out of the altcoins. So again, not married to that, but that is a major target area for me, is about 120. So that's about a 600% move if we get going here at a Doge from this exact moment, of course, right? So still some key regions below in case we ever had some market, just melts. I'd still love to see this 10-cent market hit. My buy zone was right in this region, again, about 10 to 15 cents. We did come down into the 15 cent. I think we got 13? Yeah, right at 13 cents. So just front ran the bottom area of that box. But ultimately, still feeling like we're going to be heading towards the high side, but nothing materializes until we flip 28 cents. So we could do all this over and over again, but nothing really starts getting continually bullish for me until we flip 28 cents. All right, folks, I hope you all enjoyed this. I had to jump on a pair of skis to get down here to the computer and make this for you right from Switzerland. So again, my name is Paul Sampson. This is DataDash. If you enjoyed this content, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Again, a huge shout out to Blofin, our channel exchange partner, as well as if you would like to come and trade with me in a little bit more real time with all these updates and everything you saw in front of you with a more full availability, as well as access to my academy. My educational academy covers how I build these charts, some of the lingo and everything that goes into it. I also take chart requests from members, so we'll build out some things on there, or I'll even highlight them in these videos and everything like that. So that's all on DataDashPro.com if you'd like to join us there. Otherwise, folks, thank you all so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next video, and until then, everybody, cheers.